What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Predator Hunting Grounds video. This one, I want to dive into Dutch's backstory in Predator Hunting Grounds. As all of you probably know, there are OWLF tapes that you can find across the maps in Predator Hunting Grounds. You can collect them, and if you escape with them, you can now listen to them. There are 20 of these tapes, and they dive into a lot of what happened with Dutch during this 33-year span since we saw him last. It's actually extremely interesting, and it explains the look that we see on Dutch in this upcoming DLC on May 26th. So let's talk about some of the highlights for this backstory. First of all, it's explained that Dutch actually was in LA during the events of Predator 2. I guess ever since his run-in with the Predator, he has been on a grind trying to collect Predators for himself. In fact, he's taken down a handful because he was actually using a combi stick, or just as they're referring to it in the tapes, just a spear that he got from a Predator that he'd killed in the past. Which is also pretty cool because he gave the OWLF a working Predator mask in order to allow him to keep that spear. So just that alone, I think, is extremely interesting. The fact that Dutch is out there rocking a combi stick that he got off a Predator that he took down in the past. And what makes it even cooler to me is, like, is Dutch going to have the ability to use a combi stick in the game? I doubt it, as we already know Dutch is getting his own gun and his own knife. But it's interesting to me that they make sure to point it out multiple times that he's using a combi stick. And he actually ends up stabbing a Predator in the chest with one, and that's just pretty cool. So maybe, just maybe, Dutch will have something special related to a combi stick within actual gameplay. So after an encounter where they allow him to keep the combi stick and he trades them this Predator mask, he and a small unnamed team, which also I think is interesting, I think we might start seeing DLC for this unnamed team in the future, have been working with the OWLF for a while, with the goal to, of course, collect Predator technology, as the OWLF, the only reason it was getting funded, was that they were going to, hopefully, replicate Predator tech to use against them in case Predators started taking over the world. So, that is Dutch's goal. That's kind of how he's been working with the OWLF for a while, but during one of his missions, Dutch and his team got pinned by a female Predator. The first time they've ever seen a female Predator, who ended up netting Dutch to a wall and then made him watch as she murdered his entire team with pinpoint accuracy with the plasma caster. Which, this is where the scars on Dutch's face come from. It came from a female Predator who pinned him to a wall and allowed that net to suck into his face, ultimately causing quite a bit of damage. So much damage that they actually thought he was going to die. The OWLF medical team all came to a consensus that he was going to die from his injuries received from this encounter with the female Predator. But they decided to try some experimental treatments on Dutch, in which they used a serum that included Predator blood cells, with the hope that he'd be able to regenerate like we see the Predators can. This ultimately proved to be pretty successful, as his expected healing time for a man his age went from roughly a year to under 3 months. He was fully recovered within 3 months. And then they kept him in quarantine until they saw what the side effects of this serum was. Which is interesting because they never actually talk about what those side effects are. Other than the fact that we know a short time after this whole injury happened and they were using the serum on Dutch, there was an energy surge that only affected the Predator equipment that the OWLF collected. So like I said, they don't really expand on what happened with Dutch and what happened with these whole Predator blood cells being inside of him. But the fact that he recovered so quickly, probably we can assume that he can regenerate like a Predator now. And perhaps he might actually have Predator genetics within him, and maybe that energy surge that the OWLF received actually came from Dutch himself. I find that extremely interesting. I don't know where they're going to go with this story. All I know is I'm super excited to hear the tapes that come with Dutch on this new DLC update. It's going to be really cool to see this backstory. I like where they're going with this. It's intriguing to me to see the connection between all these films and the fact that Dutch was in Predator 2. Technically. I mean, he was there. He was doing some work there. It's definitely really cool as a Predator fan. But hey, that's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Are you excited for Dutch to be in the game? And what do you think of this backstory, let me know in the comments below. But that's going to wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. And of course, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you next time.